What's up, church family? It's National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Here's some info from breakthiscycle.org. Domestic violence affects millions, both women and men of every race, religion, culture, and status. It's not just punching and black eyes. It's yelling, humiliation, stalking, manipulation, coercion, threats, and isolation. It's stealing a paycheck, keeping tabs online, non-stop texting, constant use of the silent treatment, or calling someone stupid so often they even believe it. Nearly 3 out of 4 Americans personally know someone who is or has been a victim of domestic violence. Now is the time to make a stand. Support survivors and speak out against domestic violence all month long. If you need any assistance or want to talk to someone about domestic violence, call 1-866-331-9474. Again, 1-866-331-9474 to speak with a trained peer advocate.
Hello, church family. My name is Tracy DeBrew. And because my God is a healer, I'm able to stand here today and be a breast cancer survivor, not once, but twice. Just made it with one through the pandemic. I want to share with you some information on breast cancer from the CDC. Each year in the United States, more than 250,000 women get breast cancer and 42,000 die. Men also get breast cancer, but it is not very common. About 1 out of 100 breast cancers diagnosed in the United States, it's found in a man. Most breast cancers are found in women who are 50 years or older, but breast cancer also affects younger women. Other than skin cancer, breast cancer is the most common cancer among American women. Mammograms are the best way to find breast cancer early, when it is easier to treat and before it is big enough to feel or cause symptoms. God healed me, and God can heal you too. If you or someone you know is experiencing symptoms, please go see a doctor.
Brothers and sisters, let me remind you of some upcoming events that we're having right here at the Lighthouse. First of all, on 4th Sunday in October, 4th Sunday in this month, we will celebrate our Men's Day. Listen, we have a weekend of events. On Saturday, Reverend Stephan Johnson, a son of this church, will conduct a workshop. It will be on Zoom. If you want to register, send us an email or call the church. We will get you that information. And then on Sunday, that 4th Sunday morning, we will have our Men's Day worship service. You don't want to miss this worship service. It's going to be powerful. Our speaker is none other than Reverend Dr. William Marcus Small, the senior pastor of the New Calvary Baptist Church in Norfolk, Virginia, and my frat brother. And I'm excited to hear what the Lord is going to say to us. Our theme is the man in the mirror. And we hope that you join us on 4th Sunday at 10 o'clock, live on Facebook, YouTube, and the website. Most certainly, we want you to also join us as Reverend Dr. Johnson comes and performs that workshop. Not only that, but we have our Harvest Fest celebration. Bring the kids out October 31st from 11 to 2. It's going to be drive-in. Stay in your car, wear your mask. You don't have to get out. They can drive through, and we'll be able to distribute candy and school supplies. We're going to hook you up. We got your back. Candy and school supplies from 11 to 2, October 31st, right here at the Lighthouse. You can drive in, drive out. Last but not least, I told you not long ago that there's a Bible study coming, where our Bible study called Firm Foundation. We're going back to the basics, the ABCs of our faith, the ABCs of our salvation, back to the basics. We're going to start October 27th. That's a Tuesday night, October 27th at 6:30. That's also going to be on Zoom. You're going to want to send us an email or call the church and register so that we know what we're working with and we can get you the link. And this is going to go on every second and fourth Tuesday. Every second and fourth Tuesday at 6:30. We're going to secure our firm foundation and study the Word of God. Join us on Men's Day. Join us for Harvest Fest. Join us in Bible study. Good morning, brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Lighthouse. We are so glad that you're tuned in to worship with us this morning. Listen, I want you to take time now and greet your virtual neighbor by putting some likes on the screen, some hearts on the screen, tag everybody you know, share this video, start a watch party on your own page so that we can be virtual evangelists and get the word out to as many people as God is able to reach. Listen, I believe that the Lord has a word for you this morning. Let's go on in the sanctuary now and hear the word that is waiting on you.
The word of the Lord comes to us tonight from Daniel chapter 6, and I'm just going to read a piece of verse 22. And here's what the word of the Lord says from the New International Version. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. This morning, our word is, I survived it. Just type that on the screen. I survived it. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that you had no control over? Sometimes you're dealing with one issue and your focus is on that one issue. While your focus is on that one issue, other issues show up and add to the one issue that you're trying to get help with. You're trying to pass one class and you find out that you have a low grade in another class. You're trying to maintain healthy relationships and one of your closest friends lets you down. You're trying your best to handle one issue and that one issue turns into multiple issues. But I came to tell you today that we serve a God who can handle every issue in your life. God can turn it all around. God can fix all of it. And God can change whatever situation you're facing right now and make you a survivor. Don't allow your issues to become your identity. In other words, stop walking around like you're defeated because of what you're facing, but learn how to walk in faith. Learn how to walk with hope. Learn how to speak life out of your mouth and declare, I believe God is working it out. I believe God is fixing it. I believe God is changing my situation. And sooner or later, not only will it turn in my favor, but I will be able to declare I survived it. Now I need to know, is there anybody online who has a testimony this morning that some things in my life were designed to drive me crazy, but I survived it? Some things in my life were designed to trap me, but I survived it. Some things in my life were designed to set me up for failure, but I survived. And part of my testimony is I didn't survive because of who I am, but I survived because of who my God is. My God is safety. My God is shelter. My God is coverage. For the Bible says that God will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. I need somebody who can help me preach at the beginning of this little message and say, I serve a God who will reach down in the deepest, darkest circumstances and pull me up. I serve a God who sees me in trouble and casts a net of protection around me. I serve a God who confuses medical professionals and can turn a diagnosis into fake news. Somebody help me say it right now. I survived it because of the God that I serve. In our text, in our story, we meet a man named Daniel. The story tells us that there was something different about Daniel. Daniel was not average. Daniel didn't fit in with the rest. He had some exceptional qualities about him, and one version says that what made Daniel different was that an excellent spirit was in him. Have you ever met a survivor? Have you ever had a conversation with somebody who has lived through something that the average person would not have been able to live through? There is always something different about a survivor. There is always some kind of excellent spirit found in a survivor. There's always something unique about a survivor. It's not something that you can always see physically. It's not always something that you are easily able to detect. But survivors have a certain kind of story. And when that story is shared, everyone who listens to it then has the aptitude to be blessed by it. There are some people who say that they want to know more about God, or they want to better understand God. And if that's you, I want to challenge you this morning to go find somebody who has survived something and ask them to share their story. Because anybody who can tell you the story of how they survived what they survived is really telling you about the power of God. And then maybe you will get a better understanding of what David said in Psalm 124 when he said, if it had not been for the Lord on our side. There is always something different about a survivor. Because there was something different about him, the king wanted to make Daniel governor over the entire kingdom. The king began to brag on Daniel and tell the other governors to get ready, because Daniel was going to be promoted to govern the entire kingdom. When the other governors heard about this, they immediately started trying to find something to accuse Daniel of so that they could bring him down and keep him from ruling over them. And I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, that promotion is a good thing. That when God promotes you, it's wonderful, it's awesome, it's a great chance to serve. But promotion also can come with some problems. Sometimes you can be promoted and the people who have been promoted before you have issues with your promotion. I'm not just talking about on your job, but I mean right here in the church, where folk ought to be working together to serve the Lord and make the Lord's name great in the community, right in the church. Sometimes God will bless you to be promoted from just a member of a ministry or committee to an officer in that ministry or on that committee, and you come with some new and exciting ideas and some fresh ways to get things done, and you find yourself in a battle with the former president, or you find yourself in a battle with some of the members who all think alike, they all vote alike, they all are stuck on one way of doing things, and you come in knowing that God has given you a new way, only to find out that these people have a problem with you and you can't get anything done because the people who have served in your position previously have a problem with your promotion. On the other hand, when promotion comes and God elevates you to a new level, there are those who have not been elevated who will also have a problem with your promotion. There are those who will hate you because God has taken you higher and they are jealous of what God is doing in your life. I want to send out a warning to you today and let you know that everybody is not going to be excited about your elevation. When God elevates you, there are going to be people who were your road dogs and your best friends that are going to stop talking to you and stop hanging with you because God has you on a level that they have not yet experienced. I know somebody don't like this right now. God has you on a level that they have not yet ascended to. You have to be careful when God brings promotion to your life, because there are some people who are going to conspire against you and try to accuse you of this and that because you were elevated and they were not. And you will be the one walking around with a target on your back that you cannot see, because jealous people don't have what you have. But I heard Jesus say, blessed are you when people shall revile you or insult you and say all manner of evil against you for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. In the church, there ought not be any jealous people. Nobody in God's house should be jealous of one another, especially when one of us gets a promotion. What we need to do is learn how to rejoice and give God praise when promotion comes to our brothers and sisters, and connect ourselves with that person so that when God blesses them, we have no reason to hate them, because then we know that our blessing is right around the corner. When God's favor starts to reign in their life, we have no need to be jealous, because we know that some of that favor is going to rub off on us. And sometimes you got to get downright indignant when promotion comes and people start running their mouths. You may just have to go ahead on and tell them, it does you no good to get upset with me when God promotes me, because you don't know the hell I had to go through to get to where I am. You don't know the price I had to pay to get this promotion. You don't know the cross I had to carry to get where I am. You don't know the pain I had to suffer, the tears I had to cry, the nights I had to stay up studying, the times how far I had to drive back and forth to Virginia Union. I done told my own testimony. So tell your virtual neighbor, don't hate on me when God blesses me, but celebrate with me, because the same God that promoted me is the same God that will promote you. If you serve him like I did, if you love him like I do, if you praise him like I praise him, maybe, just maybe, God will move on your behalf just like he moved on mine. They got upset with Daniel, started to try to find things to accuse him of so that his promotion would be compromised. They tried everything they could to find fault in Daniel, but there was no fault to be found. They got on Google, tried to do a background check. They got on his Facebook page, tried to see what they could find. They tried to steal his cell phone, comb through his text messages, look through his pictures, find something negative, but they couldn't find anything on Daniel. You know how folk do when they don't like you. They try to find any little negative thing they can so they can broadcast it and make you look bad. And then when they can't find anything, they start making up stuff and coming up with things you allegedly said or things you allegedly did. Then they start talking about what they heard. But can I help all the I heard people that may be watching this broadcast with an attitude? Stop spreading what you heard and start spreading what God did. If you're going to spread something about somebody, don't spread any lies, but spread some good news. Tell folks he is blessed. Tell folks she is forgiven of her past. Tell folks God is moving in that person's life. Tell folks they survived everything they've been through thus far. If you're going to run and tell something, run and tell that. They couldn't find anything on Daniel because he was not corrupt. He was trustworthy. So they said, well, we'll never find anything against Daniel unless it has to do with the law. So what they did was they got themselves together and they went to go talk to the king. They began to kiss up to him and butter him up and stroke his ego a little bit. They said, King, we took a vote at the church conference and we decided that you should issue a decree that anyone who prays to any god or human being except you, your majesty, will be thrown into the lion's den. They said, King, don't wait, but go ahead and issue it now so that it cannot be altered and it will be in accordance with the law of the land. And then it cannot be changed. King Darius, with his simple, no backbone having self, not realizing that he was being played like a piano, went ahead and approved the decree and put it in writing. And here is where I want to show you how when someone asks you how you survive, you can give them a few answers. The first thing you could say is, I survived because my trouble led me into God's presence. Go on, write it and type it. My trouble led me into God's presence. Verse 10 says that when Daniel heard about the decree, he went home, shut himself in his room, and began to pray 3 times a day, giving God thanks just as he had done before. And every now and then, when you find yourself trying to survive, it could be because God is calling you into his presence. God wants you to come closer to him. God knew that you were going to be in a stressful situation, so he led you into his presence in the middle of a pandemic so that you could take time out to have your own worship service without anybody else around, without a choir, without instruments, without somebody pumping you up. God led you to a place where you would be by yourself in the presence of the Lord. Have you ever been there? Maybe you don't realize this morning that trouble leads you into God's presence. Maybe you've never found yourself looking at a bill trying to figure out how you are going to pay it, and the presence of God shows up in the corner and begins to surround you and bring you peace. The text says 3 times a day Daniel went upstairs, got on his knees and said, God, I thank you 3 times a day. Some of us don't even tell God thank you 1 time a day. I came to tell somebody that if you want to be able to declare I survived it, you better learn how to thank God in the midst of the enemy trying to destroy you. You better learn how to thank God when everything around you is falling apart. You better learn how to thank God when you fail the class. Thank God when you don't get the job. Thank God when the school rejects you. Thank God when you don't get the raise. Thank God when your car breaks down. Thank God in spite of whatever trouble you're going through, so that God can lead you into his presence. They found Daniel in his prayer meeting and ran back to the king and reminded him of the decree, reminded him of what was written in the Constitution and the bylaws, reminded him that whoever prayed to any god or being other than the king would be thrown into the lion's den, and reminded him that the decree was issued so that it might not be changed or altered. Then they took it a step further and said, we found your boy Daniel in his house, not paying you any attention, ignoring the decree you sent out. He still prays 3 times a day. The king was distressed. He knew he had gotten himself into something he could not get out of. He tried to talk them out of it, did everything he could to save Daniel, but he gave the order anyway, and Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. I survived because my trouble led me into God's presence. Secondly, I survived because God stuck with me through the worst parts of my situation. The text says that the king felt so guilty about throwing Daniel in the lion's den that he couldn't eat and he couldn't sleep. Because when you do something wrong, when you operate outside of the will of God, when you listen to the voices of those around you and not the voice of God that's in you, and you end up making the wrong decision, the guilt of what you did will burn you up. There have been times I did something wrong and I knew my grandma was going to find out about it. And while I was waiting on a beating, I know y'all don't do that no more, the guilt of what I did had me nervous, had me fidgety, had my mind going crazy because I knew I had done something wrong. The king got up at the crack of dawn, ran down to the lion's den and called Daniel's name and asked him if God was able to rescue him from the lions. Now here is the king who made the decision to put Daniel in the lion's den, and now he's outside of the lion's den expecting Daniel to answer. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? But can I tell you something? Can I give you the revelation? Sometimes God will use the people who are trying to destroy you to let you know how powerful he is. God will stick so close to you that people who don't even realize that the enemy is using them will have to take a step back and acknowledge the power of God at work in your life. The king ran down there expecting to hear the roar of the lions, but when he asked the question, Daniel responded. The king ran down there expecting to hear the roar of the lions, but when he asked the question, Daniel responded. He ran down there expecting to hear the lions roaring, but when he asked Daniel the question, Daniel responded. That's proof right there that God sticks with us through the worst of our situations when we have the ability to tell you the story of how we survived. I'm going to shout all by myself. Some of us have endured so many different kinds of calamity in our lives. We should not even be able to talk about it. It should be such a trigger that it literally closes our mouths and makes us tremble at the very thought of what we went through. But when you know that God stuck with you, when you know that God was walking with you, when you know that God had his hand on you the whole time, the trigger is released, the trembling stops, and liberation and freedom shows up, and you can tell your story the way you want to tell your story without any fear or reservation, because God was with you and God is still with you. Can you tell your neighbor that God is still with you? Daniel told the king that God sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions, and the lions did not hurt him. God stuck with Daniel and changed his situation. And for somebody watching me right now, the enemy and his crew surrounded you, did everything they could to destroy you, did everything they could to steal your joy, did everything they could to kill you. But do I have anybody this morning that can wake up and wave your hand in the air and say, God stuck with me when the doctors gave up. God stuck with me when my family turned their backs on me. God stuck with me when friends walked away from me. God stuck with me when bullets were headed in my direction. God stuck with me when my house was foreclosed and my car was repossessed. God stuck with me when I was not supposed to survive the car accident. God stuck with me and changed my situation. And I need to see somebody online who knows that when times got hard, you held on to God and God held on to you. And I don't know about you, but when I look back over my life and see the things that God brought me out of, I'm a witness that yes, God stuck with me, but God is still sticking with me. Even in a pandemic, God is sticking with me through the loneliness. God is sticking with me through the anxiety. God is sticking with me through unemployment. God is sticking with me through injustice. God is sticking with me through Trump and Pence trying to get reelected. You ought to clap your hands and praise God if you know that God will stick with you. They brought Daniel up out of the lion's den, and the king is now all of a sudden full of joy. And when they brought Daniel up, they didn't find any wounds on him. No bite marks, no signs of struggle, no injuries, no broken bones, because Daniel trusted in his God. And when you trust in God, nothing and nobody can destroy you. I'm getting ready to go now, but is there anybody here that has the testimony that I survived it because God stuck with me when the worst of the worst happened? He gave me the strength to go through it. He gave me the courage to fight through it. He gave me the faith to believe that I was going to make it. He stuck with me and he sustained me. And if the truth be told, they should have had my funeral a long time ago. They should have committed my body to the ground a long time ago, because I was surrounded by lions. Lions who said I wouldn't make it. Lions who judged me for how I look. Lions who used me. Lions who talked about me for the bad decisions that I made. Lions that attacked my body. The lion of heart disease. The lion of diabetes. The lion of suicidal thoughts. The lion of domestic violence. The lion of breast cancer. The lion of COVID-19. But I thank God for sticking with me. I thank God for preparing a table before me in the presence of my enemies. I thank God for keeping me alive. I thank God for keeping me sane. I thank God for not letting me go down. I thank God for not letting me lose my mind, for keeping me long enough to wait on him to change my situation. I need everybody online who's ever had God change your situation and turn you into a survivor to open your mouth and say, I survived. Now you have a testimony that everything you went through was for you to be able to say, I survived it. For you to be able to be a witness and a living testimony that no matter what you face in your life, God has the power to make you a survivor. So one last time, before we go, just type on the screen, say it out of your mouth, and even put your hand on yourself and say, I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Well, brothers and sisters, I pray that that word was for you. But if you need a relationship with God, if you want to accept Jesus Christ in your life right now, all you have to do is confess out of your mouth that you believe that God raised Jesus from the dead and you are saved. If that is your confession, then today is the day that you have been born again. Brothers and sisters, we would love to connect with you. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Stay connected with us. Our email is on the screen. Our phone number is on the screen. We can be reached at any time if we can be of assistance to you or if you want to connect with us. And finally, if this ministry has been a blessing to you or you want to be a blessing to this ministry, we invite you to sow a seed today. We're on Cash App. We're on Givelify. We're on PayPal, or you can visit our website at myfbcee.org and sow whatever seed the Lord has put on your heart to sow, and we appreciate it, and God will richly bless you. Until next time, God bless you. We'll see you next week right here at the Lighthouse.